Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. You're almost halfway home through the work week, and we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. This is Uncle Paul's top 10 video, or not top 10 videos. This is Uncle Paul's top 10 NBA franchises of all time. And I'm not going to, again, I think you can see my screen now. I'm not going to, again, cover what we've covered in the first video in terms of the criteria. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of run through that. Let you pause it here if you want to read through it. It's not just about championships, though, so keep that in mind. While we're at it, and before I get started with number 10 here, click the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, and then also hit the alert button if you don't mind. Started out with number 10, Dallas Mavericks, and again, New York Knicks, not even close to making the top 10 in my opinion, and we discussed that in the prior videos as well. And again, here's one of my criteria in terms of why. Number 9, Philadelphia 76ers. And you can see the top 10 through 5 in prior videos. They should be in my playlist here. Number 8, Houston Rockets. Talked a lot about them as well. Number 7, my Pistons, who are on the bubble of falling out of the top 10. Chicago Bulls, also on the bubble of falling out of the top 10. And again, Bulls fans, there you go. All right, number 5, Miami Heat. I'm high on the Miami Heat, and you can listen to look at the review of the last video. And again, New York fans, in case you forgot, and Bulls fans, in case you forgot. Number 4, here we go. Number 4, and I struggled with number 4 and number 3, but I got to tell you, number 3 is just making hay here, and then they're doing some things, and I'll cover that in a minute. But the Spurs have been a perennial, great franchise ever since Pop took over. The Admiral, David Robinson, Sean Elliott, Avery Johnson, all those teams, they've been competitive at the very minimum. And I think Pop does a great job of managing his players' minutes, his vets' minutes, and gets a lot of life out of them. And I'll tell you what, they play the best team basketball in all the NBA. And I think the number 3 team, does a comparable job as well. But if you want to watch beautiful basketball being played where the ball is shared and there's good ball movement in their sets, there's no one superstar dominating. It's whoever has the best open shot. You got to watch the San Antonio Spurs. They do it right. They do it right defensively. And they do it right by the way that they groom their young talent as well, too. And they also do a great job with recruiting international players also. They've won 5 NBA championships out of 6 NBA Finals appearances. However, I'm a little bit concerned about them being on the bubble of falling from number 4 here. Well, we got to see how they do and rebuild and retool here in the next couple of years. I do like the fact also that they hired Becky Hammon, who's a great basketball mind, and are giving women a chance as well. But I'd hire her as a head coach potentially as soon as she gets a little bit more experience as well. There's a bunch of people that I would hire as my head coach, but she'd be in the conversation for sure. I think losing Kawhi Leonard hurt them. And again, it's going to depend on how they draft and who's going to be that next focal point. I'm not real high on LaMarcus Aldridge either. Again, I think they were hoping he would come in and be that replacement for David Robinson and Tim Duncan, and it's just not. I just think that he's a wee bit soft, a little cotton candy-ish in my personal opinion. But I'm not going to focus on being a hater on him. But again, I think the Spurs, if anytime that they make the NBA playoffs, whether it be a 1 through 8 seed, even if they come in at 8, I always got my money on them to have a shot at winning a title, even if they're the 8th seed. And it's because they'll sacrifice some games, like I said, by resting their vets. So, again, with what they have there and the, good foundation, but I'm also concerned that whenever Pop decides to hang it up, what that's going to look like. Can they keep that going? Can they maintain? Because Pop will treat all the players from the number 1 starter down to the end of the bench the same way, whether that's good, bad, or indifferent. But again, I think that's good for the other players who have to come in and work to see that Pop holds his stars accountable too. So he's got a dry sense of humor too. I like his halftime interviews. Anyway, you will see the next couple of years will play out for the Spurs in terms of where they go, depending on Pop's retirement, the talent they bring in. But from a gameplay standpoint, I mean, just I mean, they lay the blueprint for good solid basketball. So again, some of the players that they've had is Robinson, Duncan, Elliott, Bowen, Ginobili, Parker. They do a great job recruiting internationally. And again, Kawhi. And I'm wondering if Kawhi, if he had to do it all over again, especially, I know he won his championship in Toronto, but seeing what happened with him and the Clippers this year, I wonder if he's going to look back on that move and wondered if he could have done some things differently. Doesn't matter now, but I'm just always curious about that. So anyway, I'm going to move on now to number three. Number three, Golden State Warriors. So this is not just based on recently, right? As I was researching this and just looking at all their championships, all the players they've had over the years. So they have 6 NBA championships, right? And we all know about the ones in the 2000 teens. But they've had a history of winning championships here, and they have 11 NBA Finals appearances, which is pretty good. And here's what I want to comment about them is that they had the dry spell there where they didn't have a ton of appearances, but and in the 80s I'm going to give them the 80s and 90s I'm going to give them a pass because they had the Lakers and the Celtics in the 80s there, in the 90s and the Pistons, and then in the 90s. They also had the Bulls runs there too. So it's tough. And then they had Utah and Houston and other teams out of the West that were just, and the Lakers were still tough to beat as well. But again, I think that even during that dry run, they did a good job of recruiting talent there. And I'll list off some of the names, but so again, Chamberlain, Barry, those are the guys back in the day that won those earlier championships with them, and they've had some other big names. And I didn't capture everybody. You guys can do your own research. But they had Chris Webber, Anton Jabinson, Latrell Sprewell, Jason Richardson, Mitch Richmond, Baron Baller Davis, Tim Hardaway, Chris Mullin, and then, obviously, everyone knows Durant, Curry, Klay Thompson and Green. But again, so they, even during their dry spells, they put pieces of the puzzle together. It's just hard to win an NBA championship. So anyway, I think also with Klay Thompson being healthy and he's motivated because wasn't able to get that super max because of the voters, right? Contract. I think he's motivated. He's a hard worker. And in my opinion, I'd pick Klay Thompson over Steph Curry to build my franchise around. If I had to pick one of the two, it would be Klay. And that's because Klay is a two-way player. He always takes pride in his defense. He's a two-way player. Steph, he works at defense. I just don't know that he's that lockdown. Plus, Klay is 6'7" and has size, right? 6'7", 6'8", and has size, and just has a beautiful stroke. I know Steph gets all the accolades and everything, but I mean, from just a consistent shot perspective, Klay Thompson's mechanics are just beautiful. Ray Allen. I mean, just one of those types of guys. I mean, that I show my son, clips of both of them, but really I focus more on Klay. Ray Allen is another one that I show him. So, but with those injuries, with Green being down, KD being out, and Steph also being out, they did a decent job drafting some young talent, and even that younger talent that they had in prior years with those championship teams. Last year, even before and after before the pandemic, and in the prior year, those players were getting some minutes and logging some time. And under the tutelage of Steve Kerr, and that he has a great bench coaching staff as well. So I think they're really poised to hurt some feelings come next year, the next couple of years playoffs. I think that Steph and Klay have a lot of life left in them still. I think they both condition well. And again, who knows what'll happen. I hope that, if the Greek Freak Giannis leaves Milwaukee, I hope he doesn't go to Golden State, but he may. You never know. I think he belongs up there with Portland with Dollar Dame that I covered in the last video. But I think that they'll pick up a key free agent again to round that out, and I think that they'll be havoc for the West again. So anyway, number 4 and 3. Number 4, like I said, I think the Spurs are there, and I think the Spurs, if they might fall, lower into the top 10, they'll be in the top 10 for a while still. But I think that I'm making a solid case for the Golden State Warriors to be in this number 3 position. So again, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and click the thumbs up, hit the alert button. If you disagree, and I think I've laid out some compelling evidence and rationale as to why my 4 and 3 are where they are, post it in the comments. Let me know. Let other people know what you think is number 4 and number 3. And I think tomorrow we're going to move and cover number 2. And number 2 and number 1 deserve some individual time just by themselves. So we'll do that, but we'll cover number 2. But again, happy Wednesday, happy hump day. Hope you guys are going to finish out the week strong, stay encouraged, and have a great rest of the day.